Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! Who the fuck is that guy?
Agony! My balls are hot.
Yes! Hello, friends! Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to Across the Cage. My name is Stefan. I don't know what episode it is today. I'll be able to figure it out after the fact. But welcome back. It is Wednesday here, Wednesday 7:36 p.m. And thank you for joining me once again for another beautiful episode of Across the Cage. Didn't do it last week. Just decided, you know what, we're gonna have a week off. No, I had a lot of stuff going on outside of the podcast realm that I had to attend to. So unfortunately, I was unavailable to record last week. So I apologize wholeheartedly for not giving my breakdown on Cowboy vs Gaethje. I feel like that's old news now. What a result that was! I think it was expected by most. For the fight to play out the way that it did. I did expect Cowboy to be in it for a little bit longer, but you know what? It is what it is. We move on to another week and another week of fiascos. So, just to answer your question, now that you've asked, I am very well, thank you. And a lot of messages and concern over why I didn't record last week. It was almost as chaotic as the UFC Mexico main event. That's how chaotic my inbox got in regards to where I was last week. But I do appreciate your concern. It means the world to me. Now back to the job at hand. I have two people joining me as well. This is Mr. Conor, the notorious Conor McGregor, and this is Khabib Nurmagomedov, and of course BJ Penn is still with me here. So a lovely couple of additions to the podcast table. If you have anything that you want to display here, anything you want to display in this front desk here, please suggest it or send it to me. I'd love to put it there. I'm thinking next week when I fly down to Melbourne, I'd love to get some memorabilia when I'm in there. If you are in Melbourne, I'm gonna make some gear for myself. If you are in Melbourne and you do listen to this podcast, please stop me and say hello. I mean, I'm a huge celebrity in Australia. Everybody knows this. But if you do come past me, I'm not gonna stand there and go, "Who the fuck are you?" And if you listen to my podcast, I greatly appreciate it. I'd love to say hello and chat some shit, bruv. I've been rewatching Love Island. This is completely off topic of the UFC. We've been rewatching Love Island, and I just can't get this English accent out of my brain, bruv. All right, bruv. Geezer, bruv. Anyway, sorry. Right, let's just jump straight into UFC Fight Night, Mexico City. I honestly think that it was one of the most exciting fights of the card. Fights of the card. Stupid. Already, not even 5 minutes in, CTE comes out. This is one of the best fight cards of the year so far. Exciting. From top to bottom, it was exciting. Had everything. Had drama, draws, decisions, whatever. It was really, really exciting from top to bottom. Let me jump into the results, and let's start in the lightweight division. Claudio Puelles defeated Marco Rosa Mariana via decision. Unanimous decision that was. Besh Correia defeated Sijara Eubanks via decision. Paul Craig defeated Vincinius Moreira via submission. Paul Craig via submission was the bet of the weekend, I felt. Paul Craig did... It could have been given a TKO victory there, but he knocked Moreira down, and submitted him with a rear naked. That's Paul Craig, isn't he? That's what he does. He submits people. Sergio Pettis, clinical fight against Tyson Nam, defeated him via decision. I thought he dominated the whole fight. Looked really, really sharp. Looked really good. It just seems like his fight IQ is just getting better and better, and he's still so young. So I'm really excited to see where he goes from here. Angela Hill defeated Ariane Carnelossi via TKO. It was a doctor stoppage in the third round. Kyle Nelson defeated Marco Polo Reyes via TKO in the first. Jose Alberto Quinozes defeated Carlos Horachin via decision. The main card, Steven Peterson defeated Martin Bravo via this knockout right here, contender for knockout of the year. He countered a spinning back fist with his own spinning back fist and sack of potatoes. Bravo dropped like a sack of potatoes. They're on sale and special at Coles, $2.99 a kilo. Absolutely stupid spinning back fist. Amazing. Contender for knockout of the year, 100%. Aldana defeated Vanessa Melo via decision. That was at catchweight 140. Brendan Moreno and Askarov ended in a draw, in a split draw. 28-28, 28-29, 30-27. Again, really, really good back and forth fight there. I think the draw's fair. I think they got it right there. I think they got it right that it was a draw. It's weird though. It was very weird how one judge gave it 30-27. That's what I found a little bit off. But I think I'm happy with the draw. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Co-main event, Carla Esparza defeated Alexa Grasso via majority decision. That was 28-28, 29-28, 29-28. I'm not mad that Esparza got the win here. However, I completely understand if you thought that Grasso won, especially that third round. I did think that third round, it just looked like that was a 10-8 to Grasso, which would have obviously given her the victory. I did think that was a 10-8 round. But I guess you can score the armbar defense, maybe. You can I don't know. The scoring is so different everywhere, and I guess I don't have the time to read the 742-page book on UFC rules. I mean, I'll read new rules and whatnot here and there, but to go into details as to how the scoring works, unfortunately I don't have the knowledge all the time to do that. So maybe they're giving it the submission defense. Who knows? And then the main event that lasted all but 15 seconds. There was a no contest, an accidental eye poke. Where do I start? When I first saw this live, I thought that Herb was gonna stop. Now, mind you, Jesus Christ, Herb Dean handled this situation so well. That's why, as Rogan says, he's the gold standard. He handled this situation so well. He had full control of that octagon. Doctors go there. Jeremy Stephens over here. Rodriguez over there. Everybody's in their place. You listen to me and listen to me only. I will dictate what's happening here. And he did a very good job of that. So, Herb, I know you listen to this podcast, so well done. Well done on the efforts on the weekend. When I first watched this, my initial thought was, that's it. It should be a DQ. That's a really, really bad eye poke. His fingers had no reason to be next to Jeremy Stephens' face at all, because it was, I think it was Jeremy had moved in, and Yair put his hand out like that. Who does this? Who does that to pat away something? I understand if someone's throwing a punch and you're slipping, but in terms of that to the face, I just don't think that that's effective defense. And answer me this question. Tell me how you've reacted when you've been poked in the eye before. I hate it. Obviously, my background is playing soccer, football. And there's a lot of AstroTurf fields here, or fake grass. And within that fake grass, there's little pellets of rubber that emulates dirt. As a goalkeeper, diving around, a little tiny particle of rubber going in the eye, eyes closed. I'm basically blind. I've just turned blind. That's it. I can't see ever again. That's that. And you're telling me that a finger to the eye like this in a fight, and you expect him to carry on? I don't. I don't have that expectation. I can understand the frustration. Obviously, Rodriguez main event. He's had his battles previously released, then brought back in, and he's basically losing that fight against the Korean Zombie, and gets that knockout with 1 second to go in the fight. So he hasn't really had the best run within the UFC so far. So this was his chance, main event against Jeremy Stephens. You know what? I'm going to prove myself, and it just ended in 15 seconds. Now I think the way that he carried on after the fact, I just can't fucks with. I just can't. really sit here and say that, you know, I'm happy with that reaction. I can understand the frustration, but, you know, the way that he handled himself after the fact, not on. You can't turn around and treat Bisping that way in the octagon. Bisping has nothing to do with your situation. You're the one that poked the eye of Jeremy Stephens. You should be the one to blame here. That's one thing. And then post-fight, the comments after post-fight, who knows? They could be just trying to sell us another fight. Who knows? But, you know, the comments saying that, you know, I've had a busted eye before and continued on. And I think that swelling to around the eye, you can deal with the pain better than actual pain inside your cornea. Now, Jeremy Stephens is on a medical suspension at the moment, for a damaged cornea. So obviously he's gone to see a doctor. The doctor's deemed that he has a legitimate injury. So, you know, anybody that's saying that he's faking, including Yair Rodriguez, that can stop there. Thank you very much. On top of that, obviously you had the issues with the crowd at UFC Mexico. Now, I think listening to Luke Thomas on his podcast, he described it so perfectly. You know, that coming from a football soccer background, the stuff that happened here with the beer throwing and you know the cups and whatnot, that's a tame type of, I guess, altercation at a football event. Football events, they throw coins, there's racial slurs, there's all kinds of stuff, flares being thrown on the field, all kinds of crap. Worse than what we saw on the weekend. However, I think that at a UFC event, that stuff just needs to be put to the side. I understand the frustration of the fans, but that just needs to be contained. There was no need for that at all. But I guess it gives us a story. It gives us something to talk about after the fact. So I wish that I could sit here and explain, that I could talk to you more about the main event. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But it looks like they're both trying to plan to get this back in. So we'll wait and see. I've got it in my trending news in regards to the back and forth altercations that they've had together. But I'll run through that in just a second. I do think the bonuses, fight of the night went to Esparza and Grasso, and performance of the night went to Steven Peterson and Paul Craig. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to jump into actually I've got to give my ratings. I've got to give my ratings of the card. Mexico City, Mexico. Now, this, I'm going to make myself sound extremely stupid, because I do believe, I'm going to make myself sound really stupid. I think they use, I'm going to get so much crap for this. Mexico. So Mexico is a completely separate country from the United States, or are they within the United States? I think they're within the United States. Oh my God, I should have listened to my geography teacher. No, they're completely separate. So, the reason why I'm asking myself that question is because I need to give my rating out of the currency of the country, and whether or not it's, you know, is it pesos or is it US dollars? Who knows? But now I do know it's pesos. So all even with the main event going the way that it did, I give this a 7.74 pesos out of 10 pesos. 7.74 pesos out of 10 pesos. It was a really exciting fight card. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A bit disappointing with the main event, which is why I only scored at 7.74. But that is that, ladies and gentlemen. Now it is time for us to jump into some trending news topics. Hit it, my friend. Beautiful. All right, done. Let's do it. Let's jump into it. Let's just get this party started. So I'll just jump into the obviously the altercation between Jeremy Stephens and Yair after the fact. So they were. I'll just read this. This is from MMA Junkie. They've posted up. I guess a detailed. They've issued a statement. So in a statement issued to ESPN. Rodriguez did not deny Stephens claimed and admitted to having hurled a few choice of words of his own. Sorry. I've missed the first part of it. According to the Little Heathen, which is Jeremy Stephens, Stephens took matters into his own hands and shoved the Mexican featherweight, which you can see it's going all around social media. This is the statement that he said. I thought he was trying to be a gentleman. I get it. And he starts talking shit to me. I was like, bro, I'm not from a karate school. I'm from the street. I'm here to fight. I'm here to kill you right away. My mentality is back the fuck up. So I shoved him, which is fair. And then Yair said he pushed me like a little bitch, and I just told him you will live the rest of your life with that in your head if you could continue and didn't. Then Jeremy Stephens said I was poked in both. When I went back, my right eye was stinging pretty bad. There was a scratch on that eye as well. It is what it is. It was just a weird freak thing. I just remember his hand coming down like the Three Stooges. His fingers were in my face, which you can clearly see. So I think now it just makes if they do plan the rematch, I think just makes the rematch even more exciting. Now there's a backstory behind it. I think people will want to tune in even more, because if you didn't already want to see this fight, you want to see it. You want to see it now. And if you did want to see this fight, you want to see it even more now. If you didn't want to see this fight, now you actually want to tune in and see it, because there's a backstory behind it. There's video clips of them pushing and shoving each other, and they're going to be shit talking about the whole situation. So makes it really interesting. I think it does well for both of them, and then obviously whoever comes out on top will be triumphant, both obviously inside the octagon and outside the octagon. Let's get to some fight announcements. Big fight announcements. So I think the biggest one coming out of the weekend was my friend. Well, I don't know if he's really my friend, but we're both Australian. So my friend, Alexander the Great Volkanovski, gets his shot. Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, set for UFC 245. I'm so happy for Volkanovski. I think he thoroughly deserves this fight. And you know what? After the last fight for Holloway, this is a tough matchup for him. I'll dive into this even further when it gets closer to UFC 245. But this UFC 245 card is great, by the way, because Amanda Nunes and Jermaine Duranami are on this fight card as well. So I think also Dana White had sort of teased that it was going to be another title fight in that card as well. So yeah, really, really excited for this fight to go down. I'm really, really happy either way for Volkanovski. He deserves this limelight. He deserves a shot at the title. He's worked his way up. He's 7-0 in the UFC. He's beaten Mendez, Darren Elkins, and Jose Aldo. So three big names there that he's put on the shelf. So yeah, you couldn't deny it. So really excited for him. Good luck to Mr. Volkanovski, and I'll hopefully I know that he listens to this podcast, so mate, if you're listening, I'd love to get you on. Some other fights that have been announced: Brian Ortega taking on the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung. That'll be on the UFC fight card in South Korea. That is UFC on ESPN. UFC on ESPN 23, that is. So we haven't seen Ortega since UFC 231. That was his fight against Max Bless Holloway that he unfortunately lost. He got absolutely battered in that fight. He absorbed so much. I mean, he showed his heart, he showed his character in that fight, and he showed what type of fighter he is. But I just think he was just absorbed too much. So he's had some time on the shelf. Good to see him back. It's going to be a tough challenge against the Korean Zombie, but good to see Mr. Brian Ortega back. Quick turnaround for Chan Sung Jung as well. Very quick turnaround. Some other fight announcements as well. Volkan Oezdemir versus Alexander Rakic has been set for the same card as well. So UFC Fight Night South Korea. This fight card is looking very juicy, looking very nice. I'm really excited for this one. What date is this for? I probably should have read it on the previous one. What date is this for? Great. How good's this? There's no date anywhere. Let's just do a quick Google search. UFC South Korea. Oops. UFC South Korea. December 21st. So I would assume that is the fight card right before the fight card, the last fight card of the year. Greg Hardy is taking on one Mr. Western Sydney's own. Is it from Western Sydney? I hope I haven't offended him there. Mr. Ben Sassoli. Ben Sassoli, born and bred Australian, is now taking on Mr. Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was posed to fight Yaris Danho, but he pulled out. So this will be taking place on October 18th in Boston, rather than October 26th in Singapore. So the fight's been moved forward. Sassoli versus Greg Hardy. And I pray to the UFC MMA gods that Sassoli knocks the fuck out of Greg Hardy. I cannot stand Greg Hardy. I hate him, his face, everything about him I do not like, and I really hate saying that because I know he listens to the podcast, and I'm so sorry, but everything that has led up to Greg Hardy going into the UFC and what's happened, I just hope that Ben Sassoli takes his soul, knocks him out, sends him home packing. Because I'm telling you right now, Greg Hardy will lose one fight, and the UFC will go, see you later, ciao, ciao, bye. Ciao, ciao, bye. That's what they'll do. That is what they will do. I think that's it for fight announcements. Rashad Evans has parted ways with the UFC and is considering a return to the octagon. I think he left or parted ways with the UFC. I'm not sure if that's just from a fight standpoint or from a broadcast standpoint with ESPN or whatnot. But he's parted ways with the UFC, and is now looking for a fight somewhere else. So the only place that I could really see I don't even want to see him fighting again. The last couple of fights we've just seen him, he just hasn't been himself. He hasn't been the Rashad Evans of old, and I really personally don't want to see him fight. But you're only going to see him ever come up in Bellator, PFL, or One Championship. I don't think you'll see him go to the bare knuckle stuff. But he's come out and he said, Ali Abdelaziz has come out and said he's back in the gym and he's feeling really good. This is from Bloody Elbow. Rashad has come out and said, I changed my diet after I retired, and I drastically changed my body and how I feel. I'm definitely heavily thinking about coming back. I just felt when it came down to it, I want to make some money in this comeback, and I didn't know if the UFC was interested. They're focused on something different. I don't think they're into bringing back the older fighters who have retired. They're into what's next, what's new, which is true to his point. I agree with him 100% there, and I think the Bellator is more suited towards where he wants to go. So, look, all the best to Rashad. I hope if he does want to do this, I hope he's successful, and I hope he does make some decent coin off it. And I do think that he can be a world champion over at Bellator. You know, he was definitely a decent enough fighter to do that. So that's that. That's Rashad Evans wanting to return to fighting. David Branch has been released by the UFC. Following USADA suspension. Unfortunately, Mr. David Branch didn't really have the best run in the UFC, to be completely honest with you. But he's accepted a 2-year suspension handed down to him by USADA. He was popped for ipamorelin, which is a growth hormone. He's not eligible to fight until July 2021. Look, to be honest with you, that's probably him done. Because when he comes back, he will be 40 years old. Didn't really have the best run in the UFC. He went 4-5, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He was a world champion over at what used to be called the World Series of Fighting. So he has been a world champion before. I just don't think that, I think after this incident, I think he's done. So David Branch, done, popped. Mr. Nowitzki, the Golden Snitch, got in there and snapped him up. We didn't really talk too much about the Nate Diaz stuff, the Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal stuff. I mean, some couple of points, a couple of takeaways that I wanted to take away from that was I think they're investing, the UFC are doing this right. I think they're investing the right amount of money and the right amount of media around the whole fight. And I think, as I said this previous podcast, I think that they can do this fight without the BMF belt. Once you bring in these new belts, when do you split it up between this is WWE and this is legitimate UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship? I think that needs to stay separate. You're bringing in fantasy belts, then what environment are we creating? Nobody cares about. You can have a metaphorical baddest motherfucker. You can have a metaphorical one. That's no problem at all. When you start bringing physical belts in and getting Dwayne The Rock Johnson to come in and present the belt, like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just, for fantasies, for people that want to, have that fantasy in their brain, that's all well and good. That's awesome. But we can have that as a metaphorical thing. We don't have to physically make a belt. We don't have to physically do all these things. So I think that's the only criticism that I have of the event. The actual fight itself is awesome. The setting of the press conference is awesome. I did wish that they did a little bit more. There's a lot of talk away from the press conference of, I'm going to do this to Nate Diaz and I'm going to do this to Jorge Masvidal, and there's going to be violence, there's going to be war, and blah blah blah. But they had an opportunity to do that face to face, and that didn't really happen. So hopefully they do another press conference, and they come together and I guess they get a little bit more, excited to fight each other. They both seem too happy, in my opinion. So yeah. John Kavanagh's come out and he said Conor McGregor versus Frankie Edgar would be a great fight to come back to, and would be hopefully the next fight that McGregor comes back into, which I'm not mad at. I think it's a good way for McGregor to come in to ease his way back into. Well, I guess it's not really easing his way in, because Frankie Edgar is not an easy fight, but I think it'd be a good way for him to re-enter himself back into the UFC. Now, I'm not sure if Frankie Edgar will go up to 155. I don't even know how he'd work there at 155. But Kavanaugh's come out and he said, I think him and Frankie would be a great fight. I think that fight was in the works when Conor was kind of going on that featherweight tear. He's an ex-world champion, great fighter. If it was me, I would love to see the Frankie Edgar fight this year, if possible, and then go on another run in 2020, which I think is a great plan. And I think if you're Conor McGregor, if you don't listen to John Kavanagh, you do not deserve him at all. I think if you'd be stupid not to listen to John Kavanagh. I listen to John. I'll go fight Frankie Edgar. I listen to John Kavanagh. I just think John Kavanagh's brain and how he works and what he thinks and how he operates is just. I know that a lot of people harp on Faraz Sahabi, and a lot of people harp on about Jackson Wink and Dwayne Ludwig and all these great fight camps, Rufus Sport, aka with Javier Mendez. I personally think that John Kavanagh has the greatest MMA IQ mind ever. I think that he's the greatest. Again, I could be a bit biased towards this man right here, but I just absolutely love Kavanagh. His book Win or Learn around the whole point about visualization as well. I can incorporate that into my own life, and I think that's awesome. So if you need to listen to him, man, oi, bruv, listen to me. You need to listen to Kavanagh. John Kavanagh. Listen to your coach, man. Listen to your head coach. Fuck's sake. All right, Dustin Poirier is 100% willing to move up to welterweight for the right fight. I think it's a great move. I think he looked really good at 155. He still cuts down a lot of weight to come down to 155. Imagine him at 170, just full on thick, just sick, just thick 170, just 130 pounds of Dustin Poirier, beautiful Dustin Poirier. He's 30 years old. You can fucking go through a tear in that welterweight division. I mean, it's almost wide open. I mean, you got Diaz, Masvidal, Ben Askren's kind of lingering around and was fighting Damian Maia. Then you got Usman, you got Colby, and then you've got Woodley up there as well. I think there was another fight. There was another fight announcement. I think Robbie Lawler's taking on Ponzinibbio. I think I don't know when that is. It's a great fight. It's an absolutely monstrous fight. But I would absolutely love to. I support 100% support Dustin going up to 170 and fighting up there. I think he'll do an amazing job. 170 is just the wrestlers division. I don't think you see any calculation. I think the only striker that's up there is probably Robbie Lawler and Ponzinibbio. Everyone else is a bloody wrestler or a jiu-jitsu artist. So yeah. Last but not least, Daniel Cormier to have one last fight, complete the trilogy with Stipe Miocic. Now, they haven't officially come out and announced this, but Dana White and DC has come out and said that that's the only fight that they're thinking about. That's the only fight that makes sense at this moment in time. They don't want to do anything else, and that will be his last fight. So he was on Ariel show. He's confirmed that he's making one last octagon appearance, but only against Stipe. So he's come out and he said, I'm going to fight this guy again, and my intentions is to fight him the right way. Hopefully that's enough to get my hand raised. But I'll go fight him again. Win or lose, I'm not fighting again. This will be the only time I ever step foot in the octagon again. And he's given praise to Miocic after that as well. He said that was just great work by him. It goes to the fighting mindset and the ability of Stipe. He went hard body shot, and that one hurt me. Instead of chasing that again, he went up top. I'm not saying I can just go grab Stipe and throw him down at will, but I can do a lot of things better than I did on August 17th. If anything, I think that the trilogy fight makes sense. Now, will it do as much as the second or the first fight? Who knows? I think people are still inclined to want to see that John Jones fight with DC, but I'm happy. You know, win or lose with DC, he's had an amazing career. To only ever lose 2 fights in his career, I think is and what he's done in the sport at the age that he's at, to be that damn good. I just think you can't be upset at the guy. I think that makes sense. That's a fight to make. I wouldn't be mad if they make that at UFC 245. I'm fully supportive of that too. So yeah, that's that. That's done. That's it in the books. Another episode in the books. Please check us out on social media. I do have a TikTok now. I do enjoy making TikToks. I think TikTok's the way of the future. So if you want to, I guess, bag me out for using TikTok, by all means, please do. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I got thick skin, bruv. But yeah, check us out on social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Support the podcast through there. I will be back either tomorrow or Friday to preview the monstrous amount of fights that are happening over the weekend, boxing and mixed martial arts. I think in total there's about 5 or 6 fight cards between UFC, Bellator, and boxing. So I'd love to get into that. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode. I've been Stefan. You've been listening. Thank you so much. Take care. Ciao.